Hello, dear listener and or viewer, Naz knows. And welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. With me tonight, it's only Karl. You all right, mate?
What do you mean only Karl? Why did I not get a better interaction than that?
I was going to say it's only the underground's finest, but then I thought, nah, Fife ain't having any of that.
Yeah, he doesn't know. I'll fucking disrupt his train tomorrow. But hello, Danny. How are you?
I've been cyberbullied by you.
It's all right. It's better than being train bullied by me. Trust me. Ask Fife. He knows.
Yes. I'm staying well away from London. I have no intentions of going down there and getting stuck on an escalator or an elevator or anything that goes up and down. So I'm not having any of that nonsense. With us also tonight is Femi. You all right, mate?
Evening, guys. How you doing? Thanks for having me on again.
What part of the wonderful world are you in at the moment?
I'm in Cardiff again.
Commiserations. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Actually, I've been there 4 times, maybe 5 times for cup finals, and it's always been a really nice place.
So yeah, it's nice
to leave.
Huh?
A nice place to leave.
Apart from that time, I parked my car outside of a police station and come back, and there was policemen standing by it. That wasn't a good day. I managed to get away with it though. I'll tell you after, Karl, what I did was very, very naughty. It involved German number plates and going very, very fast, allegedly. Anyway, right. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Napoli game, and we're going to be talking about that shambles against Crystal Palace. So I take it that you saw the Napoli game, Femi?
Yeah. Watched it. I was in Spain actually, so I watched it in Spanish.
I was at Chiquitos in Huntingdon while it was on. And I was stuffing my fat face full of all sort of dead things. So what's your thoughts on the game? And were you confident of going there and winning the game or drawing the game? What do you think was going to happen? And then what were your thoughts on the game?
No, I actually definitely saw... I saw a 3-1 defeat personally. I mean, reputations go ahead of some teams, don't they? So from watching Napoli, let's say in the Champions League against Liverpool and PSG, they seem like a really, really good team. But honestly, that's one of the most impressive Arsenal European away performances. We just kept them quite quiet. We kept the crowd, definitely kept the crowd quiet. That's one of the things that you need to do when you go away. And one of the things we failed in the previous round against Rennes, I remember we started well against Rennes, the same type of thing, but we lost all control in that match. And the crowd noise just seemed to intimidate our players. But yeah, the stadium looked quite empty. You know, it's just sparse all over the place as well, wasn't it? But yeah, really impressive performance. Mature performance as well from this team. It looks like Emery definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to European football. It seems to be his speciality, I think.
I think it is when he's got he can pick from most of the squad, but when it's a game where he's the first leg of something, I think that's when we've got a really bad fixture congestion like we've got at the moment, I think that can impede what team he picks, as we've seen against the game that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But Karl, what was your thoughts on what you thought was going to happen against Napoli and what actually did happen against Napoli?
I thought to go out there and have a draw. I did think it'd be 1-1. When I saw the team, so the team kind of almost picked itself. I think that was as close to as strong in starting lineup as we could have got. Maybe barring putting Ozil in for another, whether it be Aubameyang or Lacazette or maybe even Torreira. I think the balance of the team was very, very good. We went out there, and I think as long as we kept it 0-0 for about the first 20 minutes, I was comfortable. I really was, because I felt that Napoli was always going to have to come at us. They had to attack us. So that was always going to leave space in behind. And with the pace of someone like Aubameyang and the passing ability of Ramsey and Xhaka, I thought that we was always going to create chances. As for the game itself, it kind of panned out how I wanted it to. An ideal game. You know, we soaked up a bit of pressure, and there was times when we had to. There was times when we had to defend for our lives, and that again creates space, because there are times when we could run in behind, and it just some of our poor finishing and good goalkeeping sort of prevented us from scoring. But you know, like I said, popped up with the goal, which was very, very good. And I think as soon as we got that goal, you could see them also just deflate and to just get so dejected, and they knew it was a very big ask to come back from 3-0 down. And I think that's kind of after that 36th minute, I think the game was kind of won really there.
Yeah, Femi, just looking at the stats here, I forgot how early that Ramsey went off injured. 34th minute, and he went off and Mkhitaryan came on. Now, normally, the only time we see Mkhitaryan come on is when they take off one of the strikers and they bring Mkhitaryan on for the right, Iwobi on for the left. So do you think that unbalanced the team?
Well, I was surprised, kind of surprised, wasn't it? And when Ramsey came off, you would expect the next logical decision would have been Ozil, but I think us scoring literally, I think what minute did we score? Have you got the stats up? Yeah, 2 minutes later. I think that kind of took the sting out of that. I was surprised. I guess I don't know if we'll see Ozil in an away game again, judging by that, because
maybe
if
the final will be
Mkhitaryan is coming. Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, if Mkhitaryan's coming on ahead of him that early in the game, like you said, Mickey and Iwobi usually come on either when you're either later on or later on in the game usually.
Femi, can you try turning your camera off because your audio is getting a bit crackly? I think your Wi-Fi is struggling. If it's just audio, it'll be easier.
Let me do.
All right, Karl. Right, what was I going to say about that? I've lost what I was going to say now.
Shane Long scored after 8 seconds, by the way. Sorry, carry on.
8 seconds?
8 seconds.
Wow, that's amazing.
Anyway.
Right, yeah, coming to the 1 hour mark. We're not going to go into this game for too much detail, but there's a few strange substitutions. Was Granit Xhaka injured? And is that why he brought on Elneny? Because you'd have thought if you're going to bring anybody on, you're going to try and balance up that attack, aren't you?
But wasn't that Xhaka's first game back? So maybe he could only last an hour, and then he thought that obviously he didn't want to risk it too much. But I guess we'll go on to the next game later. But it's a strange decision, like if he weren't going to start him in the Palace game. But we'll stick to this game at the moment. If Xhaka was, I think he needed this. Like I said, it was Xhaka's first game back. He didn't really want to,
He played one game before, but it's before that he was injured. I just had a look.
Oh, okay. So maybe he only had an hour in him. Yeah. Like literally, players tire. We think that sometimes these players are robots and they think that they run on unlimited energy, but they don't. They tire. So maybe he just had nothing in his tank and he had to do a lot of running. That game was literally back and forth, and there was not many times where there was nothing going on. Whether bringing on Elneny was the best decision, if Emery thinks that, then he's the manager. He's the guy that gets paid the big bucks to make the big decisions, and that's the choice that he made. Would it be the one that I made? Probably not.
I've gone Guendouzi.
Yeah, I personally would have done exactly the same thing, but like I said, he's the manager and he's the one that decides what to do.
Yeah, just looking at the thing with Xhaka, he was out injured for a while, and his first game back was Watford the game before, and he played all of that and some. I'm surprised he even managed to play this game in the first place, because after coming back from injury, like you were saying, Femi, looking at the stats for the game were quite remarkable. Napoli beat us shots on goal 20-7. They had 70%. I'll let you figure out at home what we had. Pass success rate 87 to our 66. And corners 9 to our 5. So they dominated the game, didn't they? Do you feel they were kind of unlucky not to have at least got a chance? Because Cech was amazing, wasn't he?
Fantastic. Can you hear me now? I'm back now,
yes.
aren't I?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I dropped off and get back. Yeah, Cech was impressive, wasn't he? That first save that he made, I remember on the breakaway. That was still at 0-0 as well. That's probably Cech's best performance I've seen in a while, to be fair. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact that we've had quite a lot of Europa League games, so he's getting more in the rhythm of things. He's not waiting, 3 weeks in between games at the moment. Also, as well as Cech being impressive, I thought Kos at the back was really, really impressive. That was probably his best performance of the season for me. Even at, technically we were 3-0 up, they needed to score 4 goals, and he was still fighting for every ball in the 80th minute, heading the ball over the bar. I just thought, as a unit, we just looked a lot more solid. And we have looked a lot more solid when we played the 3 of Kos, Socrates, and Monreal recently, actually. We've looked a lot more a lot more commanding with those three in defence. I'm sure we'll get into some of the other centre backs in a minute.
I don't know what you mean.
But yeah, with those three at the back, Monreal does get turned a little bit easy if you play the ball over him. But you know, he played all right, I guess. Didn't really. They've got some really good attackers, haven't they? They've got is it Insigne?
Oh yeah, the dwarf up front.
Yeah,
he's more of a kind of 10 or wide man at the times. But
yeah, he scores a lot of goals though, and I was looking at the shot stats. He's got like the fifth most shots in Europe, I think, per game of the season as well. So
yeah,
we did really well to keep them out in 2 games. To be fair.
It is really good. And you were saying about Koscielny's performance, that's the kind of performance that Arsenal fans will remember, the fact that he's come back from being virtually dead, part of the Walking Dead franchise, and now he's played 4, including the Palace game, is it 4 games back-to-back? And that is the kind of stuff, ladies and gentleworms, it's the stuff of legends, and that's how you become a magnificent Arsenal player. But unlike some little worm that I was arguing with on Twitter, who said that Koscielny is the best centre-back to ever play for Arsenal, and then he said Ozil was the best player ever to play at the Emirates.
I bet he's born in the year 2000, wasn't he?
He's a silly boy. Right then, I think we've covered that game enough. If you want to hear more about it, go back and listen to the ABW live show that they did. That was a really good show, as always. That's how I got all my information, because I was out all night because the offspring was back. Next up in the Europa League, we have the visitors of Valencia. If you listen carefully, you can hear the ladies and gentlemen at home singing "Return of the Cock." The cock is back, people. It's going to be unreal.
He's not, is he? He's suspended for the home tie, isn't he?
I've no idea, Karl. I haven't put that much thought into it.
For the home tie, so he'll be there, but not on the pitch.
How about Gabriel Paulista? Is he?
He'll be there. He'll fucking injure someone, won't he?
I did that tweet yesterday. You remember Knight Rider, where Kit met Karl, both indestructible, and where I said this it's going to be like a scene from Knight Rider. You're going to have those two defending at each team. It's going to be about 8 own goals. And be sliding. It's going to be like the reimagining of the luge. They're just going to spend most of their time on their asses sliding along, taking out people. It's going to be an absolute joy to watch. So, Femi, what's your thoughts on the Valencia game? First of all, we're home on the 2nd of May, and then we are away on the 9th of May. Have you got any thoughts about Valencia? Or like me, you used to go, I only know 2 players. They used to play for us.
I mean, obviously, with La Liga just being taken away from us on so many different channels, hasn't it, this year? We used to watch La Liga every week when it was on Sky. Yeah, but
it's now free on Channel 4, isn't it, or something? Or
they get one match a weekend or something like that. But yeah, it's been hard to keep up with La Liga. So just from listening to sort of European shows like the one Danny Kelly does on TalkSport, from what I gather, they just draw a lot of games and they don't concede a lot of goals. So I think the first leg is going to be really, really important. I saw that against Villarreal, they basically won 3-1 away from home, which won them the tie. So I think it's very, very important that we play the first leg the same way we played against Napoli. It's going to be a lot harder without Aaron Ramsey, I would say, doing the pressing that he did in that game. So I think it's really important that we don't concede a goal at home, because they're the kind of team that they win a lot of 1-0s. They've got I think they had some of the lowest goal scoring stats in La Liga as well.
I was just looking at that. Their top 2 strikers have both got Kevin Gamero, who was Atletico Madrid. He's got 4 in 28. Rodrigo 5 in 29. Santi Mina's got 4 in 25. But their top goal scorer is the midfielder Dani Parejo with 8 in 31. Other than that, no one's scoring goals.
Yeah, and they're still pushing for Champions League, which is ridiculous, isn't it? They're pushing for top 4 without scoring any goals. So they draw a lot of matches, but I think they've only lost 5 matches in the league as well. So they don't lose a lot of games. We've got to be very, very wary of that. They're more like some sort of, some sort of mid-table Premier League team that we have to be wary of away.
They've got some good players. Like they've got Jose Gaya, who's the left back. I think he's couple years ago, he's someone I think we were looking at, and I think he was very, very good. Whether he's dropped off now, I'm not too sure. They got Condopia as well.
Easy.
We was I know Chris has got an erection, but wasn't we looking at him a little while ago as well before he went to Valencia? And I remember, I think Chris was like, "Oh no, he's not good enough," and then didn't he destroy us when he played for Monaco? Yeah.
He's cost 80 million euros so far in transfers.
Yeah, because where did he go before he went to Valencia?
He went Lens, Sevilla, Monaco, Inter Milan, and then Valencia.
Yeah. Inter, that's what it was. Inter, and he was not very good at Inter, but he's French, what you expect. But but I think that Gabriel's gonna come back. He's gonna have a point to prove, isn't he? Let's face it. Like, whenever you go back to your old club, you've got something to prove, and he's gonna play out of his skin.
There's gonna be elbows.
Yeah, whether he'll get sent off, we don't know, but. I think if we look at this, that the team's only ever scored like 5 in. You said the top goal scorers got 5 in 18.
All I'm going to say,
all I'm going to say is we'll go on to this. Christian Benteke hadn't scored for 20 games, let's. I think maybe that's a segue into talking about the Crystal Palace game.
Indeed.
So, Danny, let's talk. So. Did you think? Let's talk about the team first of all. So when you saw the team, Danny, I don't know if you saw it before the game kicked off.
Yeah.
What did you think of the team?
My echo's about to start there. Echo volume 0. You twat. I thought, hold on. Have I imagined the fact that we played Elneny and Guendouzi against Everton a couple of weeks ago and created absolutely nothing from that? Have I forgotten about that? Because that definitely happened, and there was people were moaning that Ozil wasn't doing his job, but when you've got Elneny in midfield, whose only job is really to come on as a substitute to break up play, he's not going to score a goal, and he's not going to do that much defending. And Guendouzi, as much as we all love Guendouzi, he's like a 6-month-old kitten who hasn't been spayed, running around all over the place, jumping up at things, spinning around, doing all kinds of nonsense with his hair for the ladies. And I just think, well, that isn't going to work. And then he said, I was listening to Arscast, and they were saying that Xhaka could have played, that he just didn't want to risk him. Now, with a game like that, we can't just go, oh yeah, we're going to win the Europa League, so we're going to put all of our players in that egg basket, even though it's not Easter. We need to make sure that on all fronts, and just if you'd have played either Torreira or Xhaka in that game rather than Elneny, that they wouldn't have run right through the centre of midfield like they did. I watched the game back today because I missed it because I was in Cambridge, and I watched the whole game back. I downloaded it, and it was all coming down to straight away from when I did the preview show with Andrew, not our Andrew, Andrew Agnelli. I said it's going to all be Zaha. I mean, what was up with Townsend? I thought Zaha and Townsend would start, Batshuayi would be playing up front like he has done since they signed him, and then they'd be attacking us down the wings. But they decided, no, they listened to the show, but they thought, they Arsenal know what we're going to do. We're not going to do that. We're going to play Benteke as the big man up front, barging and elbowing and getting his head on everything because poor old Koscielny can't jump anymore. And then Zaha is going to be the wasp zipping around everywhere, picking up every loose ball and running at everyone. And I mean, Emery does do a decent job at half time, which he often does when he gets his tactics wrong. And then he brings on a few players. And so like he took off Mavropanos and Jenkinson. And you're thinking, oh, well, yeah, that's good, but that should have happened in the first half. You can't expect Jenkinson to be playing as a right wing back. As a right back, as a defender, fair enough, because you're gonna have a busy day with Zaha. And Kolasinac on the left hand side, he can only play left wing back. He's not really good at left back. And then the most important thing, why are you playing 3 centre backs at home? That's what I kept thinking. Why are you doing that? You ask anybody, no 3 centre backs, don't play those 2 in the centre of midfield, Karl. That's my thoughts.
No, everything you said, I definitely agreed. So Femi, when we went 1-0 down, what was your thoughts? Were you surprised? Did you think that Crystal Palace were on top? Do you think they deserved their lead?
Yeah, I was at the game for this one. Funny story is I had an uncle come from abroad to watch his first ever game, so he chose a good game to come and watch.
Yeah,
you put him off Arsenal. Who's he supporting now?
He's a jinx, isn't he? Because what do we won, like 12 games in a row at home, and comes along. Yeah.
So does he support Man City now after seeing that nonsense?
Yeah. So first goal. It was, to be fair, the atmosphere in the stadium was just, for a team that has won so many home games, the atmosphere just turned so quickly on Sunday. I've never I mean, you could always there's always tension in the air, but it turned. I think what you were saying about the
fickle.
I think what you're saying about the team news probably turned the crowd, because anytime Elneny or Guendouzi got the ball, there was just an audible moan in the crowd every single time. Especially Elneny, I don't even know how he can play at the Emirates again after the stick he was getting from the home fans. But it was, when Arsenal play, within the first 15 minutes, you can probably tell what type of performance it's going to be. That's the way this team is set up. If they don't start fast, they start slowly, you know that there's going to be a problem throughout the game. And that's so when they scored, I mean, the shock of seeing Benteke scored, I said to someone, what are the chances that this guy, that just ridiculous stats of shooting and missing, just as soon as he turns up against Arsenal, he scores with his first shot on goal.
So,
it's ridiculous.
Like I said, Benteke has got 1 goal in 20. And why is it always Arsenal are the team to score against? You remember at the beginning of the season, Cardiff hadn't scored a goal all season. We played them, they got 2. Do you remember when we played Southampton? Shane Long hadn't scored in how many games? He pops on, gets 2 against us. Like, we are just if you are in a goal drought and you really need a game, like a goal, who's the team to play? It's us. We have been really good from set pieces this season. I think we conceded maybe 1 goal from a set piece before the Crystal Palace game, because we have been defending very, very well. And usually, the set pieces used to be our downfall. I remember years ago, Stoke, that long throw, which we could never ever defend.
Rory D-Lap.
Yeah, I used to hate him. But I used to hate everything about Stoke, to be honest. But we just could never ever defend him. We was very, very good. But against Crystal Palace, you just knew as soon as that ball coming, he was in acres of space. Now, I don't want to blame players. I don't. This ain't the sort of for it, and everyone's got a different opinion. But I'm sure we'll talk about it. He was in that much space. Do you not think that he should have been, someone like Benteke should be man marked if you're gonna someone that big and sort of that good at headers? Should it be man marked, or would you say like the marking space was better, Danny?
Well, I think they were trying to man mark him, but the bit when he got the third goal, they all jumped up, and poor old Kos, you think he couldn't have jumped. He couldn't jump at all. He has no cartilage in his knees. And I looked at it back, and I was looking and thinking, they were all our defenders were trying to put their arm up for offside. It's like with the first goal from the free kick. Who gave that free kick away? Was it Guendouzi? Mavropanos, and he got booked, didn't he? Yes. Yeah. And then I was looking at it. I don't know if people on iTunes can't see this, but we had all of our 3 centre backs there and a few others, and they were marking 3 people there. But what, Dora? Steady on. My cat's pushing it. Just stop. She's not having any of this.
Hello.
That's Dora. Don't show everyone your anus. Stop rubbing you. If you don't behave, you're going down. Now stop it. Come on. No, come. Go away. No, get lost. Get down. Sorry, dear listener and viewer. Right, so you had all of our players there. I had our goal to the left of all of our players, and all 3 of our centre-backs had their player to the left of them. And you're thinking, well, the moment that the Crystal Palace free kick taker, the unpronounceableovich, when he takes that, the moment he takes it, they're going to go. And they've already got a yard head start on all of our players. So all 3 of their strikers, all 3 of the people they had up for that, all 3 of them got to the ball first. So one of them was going to get to it. And then what did our players do? Just stand there and wave their arms in the air. So 2 of our goals were because from the third goal from the corner and the first one from the free kick, the 2 set pieces, we let a goal in because they were trying to get offside. Don't try to get offside. Clear the fucking ball. That's what you need to do. You're a defender. I'm not going to teach me granny how to suck eggs, but as a defender, don't try for offside. Clear the fucking thing. And they didn't do it. And just looking at Benteke's stats in the Premier League, he had 3 goals in 44 Premier League. He's past 44 Premier League games. That's only the last 2 seasons.
That's ridiculous.
It is. It's awful. What was your thoughts on the game, Karl?
So I was at barbecue watching it, like I said, and I just saw I just seen the goals pop up on my phone. I'm just watching that. I've seen the highlights, and Danny's right. So the ball comes in, and literally he gets in between our 2 centre backs, which is Mustafi and it looks like Mavropanos. And there's no one near him. There was literally not one Arsenal player near him. And the only thing to do, what people think, is to put your hand up and think, "Oh, it was offside." It wasn't offside. Nowhere near offside. It
No,
just wasn't.
perfectly
So
timed.
yeah,
And
absolutely
he's
brilliant. And
6'5", isn't he?
yeah, but you think to yourself, with someone like that, why are you not touch tight to him? Like literally, get goal sign and be touch tight. Like grab it. I mean, yeah, even grab his shirt if you need to. Like, it's very rare that you get given away a penalty, but knowing Arsenal, like we would do. But I just think that we were defending really well lately, and I just think this game just pops up the highlights that every time you think that Arsenal are doing very well, and every time you think Arsenal are just about over the hill and their poor defending has gone, it comes back, and you think, why? Like, we've done so well, and it could be just a blip. One of these games, you know what I mean? We could go out and win the next game and be like, oh yeah, it's just a blip, everything's fine. But this happens one too many times, and I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that it's just one of those things, and I don't want to be too negative. I really do hope that the next game against Wolves, I want to say,
Yeah, it is tomorrow night away at Wolves.
That we come out raring, we come out wanting to prove a point. But I just think that the defending on the first goal was just really not good, absolutely ridiculous. But that's enough said about that. So
I just checked Benteke's height. He's 6'2.5". I couldn't convert 1.19 m to feet.
One thing I will say about the Palace team that they picked, they were all giants, to be fair. When you looked at them against our players, they were, I'm sure, nearly every player, maybe that Max Meyer, was probably under. I'm sure Zaha's over 6 foot. I think every single one of their players was over 6 foot. They just towered over us. And what we got is a lot of players that don't challenge for headers. So we were always going to be in trouble in that game. So when you've got, I don't think Aubameyang, he doesn't win a header. You've got Jenkinson. I don't know if he wins a header, but you've got so many of our players that weren't challenging. Mesut Ozil will never challenge for a header, So we were in trouble straight away. And like you guys have said, we've been really. I don't think we'd conceded from a corner before that game this Premier League season. But recently, we've fallen apart when it comes to set pieces. The Everton goal, that long throw in, that was an absolute shambles. Bate as well, that same free kick that Palace had against Bate, same kind of thing. So we need to get our act together when it comes to set pieces again and not slip back into the old routines.
But 6 games, Karl, in 20 days. That's 3 weeks. Usually, beginning of the season, we'll have played 2 or 3 games. If an international break, we'd have played 1 game in that length of time. It's just ridiculous the amount of fixture congestion we've got, and then the amount of injuries that we've got. It must be really hard for Emery to go, well, you've played, I want you to play half of this game, and then you're going to start the next game. The next game you're going to come on as a sub. Emery has been playing Elneny so much. Elneny had nothing to do with the first team. He'd forgotten what the first team was like, and now he's been chucked into the first team. So I think it's just so hard for Emery because playing so many games so frequently and against. Because I think they were saying on Arscast, the reason why we've got such a bad away record is because we've played 2 away games less than everybody else. And so that's why we've got to play more away games now against decent teams. And looking back at it, Karl, would you say that the fact that Everton beat us 1-0 and then they beat Man United 4-0 doesn't make the 1-0 look so bad? Can we take some comfort from that?
No, because it still goes down as a loss to us. Whether you lose 10-0, 5-0, 25-0, it's still a loss. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Danny, with what you just said. Like, we have to play the same amount of games as everyone else. Yeah, and you look at, and I hate to compare myself to them, but you look at Chelsea have had to play almost the same amount of games that we have. Man United have had to play the same amount of games. Okay, they're not doing very well, but Man City have had to do the same thing. Liverpool have had to do the same thing.
As in Cup and League.
Yeah, and they're still getting results. So, and we're meant to be a top team. We're meant to be like one of the top 4 team, top 6 team, however you want to do it. But they're still managed to grind that result. So, regardless of whether we've had to play a certain amount of games and they've had to do it, they're getting their results. So I don't take that as an excuse. And yes, I understand that injuries and how hard you play can take a huge factor into it, but we're not playing any more games than any other team around us is playing. No one. Like, the only one now who's not in Europe is Man United. So Man United have only got league games and nothing else. Man City. So you think of our rival. I'm going to count Man City and Liverpool. I'm going to take them out of it. But you think Chelsea are still in Europe. Spurs at the moment are still in Europe. So they're going to have to play exactly the same amount of games that we have. So for me, saying, fatigue is a factor with us, why is it not a factor with the other teams?
Well, we've got our number one right back out, haven't we? And we've got probably our third choice centre back out. And I'm not making excuses.
No, because Devil's Advocate, Tottenham have got Kane out.
Yeah.
I don't know who Man United have got.
But they've always got the ref on their side.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what I mean? I'm just playing Devil's Advocate here. So, you know, their best player, which is Harry Kane, he's out. And they're still managing to grind out results.
Yeah.
So it really is swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But you know, I just hopeful we'll.
I just think that we're overthinking things sometimes. Personally, I just think sometimes just play your strongest team. That on Sunday we just took it for granted. Let's just be honest about it.
Yeah, we did.
We made too many you made too many changes to the base of the team, and once you do that, you just think, okay, our home record is going to get us this win, and we just need to stop overthinking it. Obviously, we don't have the medical data for the players, and a couple of our midfield, Xhaka and Torreira, seems to be really struggling recently to complete games, don't they?
I remember last season, me and Carpenter sitting down and we were talking about having players on the bench. Now, for me, if you have a player, you know, when I think Arsene Wenger used to say all the time where, he wasn't fit enough to start, but he was on the bench. If a player gets injured in the first minute, that player then has to come on. So for me, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you should be fit enough to play a whole game. I mean, yeah, you could look at it and say it's not that simple, and it really isn't. But for me, if it's someone in your position, like let's say, I remember last season he said that something like Cech wasn't fit enough to start. I can't remember when it was. I remember me and Chris being on the pod, and I remember saying,
no, he was on the bench, wasn't he?
Yeah, I remember saying, but if the goalkeeper gets injured in the first minute, then he has to come on and play the whole 90 minutes. So, do you know what I mean? That, to me, it doesn't make sense. Now, I think he should have, Crystal Palace game, he should have gone with the strongest team, get the game won, and then rest players. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, take players off, go get 1-2-0 up. Sorry. And then once you're comfortable, then all right, cool, we can now rest players, not bring them on if you need to. We all know that Guendouzi and Elneny in the centre midfield does nothing. There's no creativity there whatsoever. So, and like I said, Emery is the guy who gets paid the big bucks to pick the team. And like I said, we don't have the data. We don't know how tired players are. We don't know if players are literally right on the edge. And yeah, we have our best midfielder out at the moment. And, you know, some of our midfielders just coming back from injury and things like that.
But then that doesn't make sense because Iwobi has hardly played recently and he's sitting on the bench. So that's why I don't understand it. Like, we keep putting Nketiah on the bench. What's the point of putting him on a bench? You're fairy about first minute injuries. What's the point of having Eddie Nketiah? It's just like having 6 men on the bench. He just never comes on.
Yeah, and it must be either he's trying to blood him in and around the first team, or he just doesn't trust him. Now, if you don't trust him, like you said, why is he on the bench? Like
Welbeck's injured.
Torreira hasn't. He was out for 4 games, wasn't he, or 3 games?
Suspended.
So he's only played 1 game in 3 weeks? I want to say. Why did he not start against Crystal Palace?
I think Roy Hodgson played us as well because we all know that Batshuayi, head of a striker, we expected him to play up front. And Van Arnholt, who they got from, I think, Newcastle, he's one of the best left backs in the league. They played their backup right back, Ward, at left back. They've had their their best centre back and their best central midfielder, 2 giants. Those 2 are both injured, and Sarko didn't play. And you're thinking, and Townsend didn't start the game. So I think Emery is known as Mr. It's like that story that when he got his team promoted to La Liga from the Segunda League, and he said, right, I'm not going to bother picking a team here. I'm just going to randomly pick any players from that position, and you're going to play. And that's how much confidence I've got of you in a group that it doesn't matter who I pick, you're going to go and win the game. And they did. They went and won the game. And I think I think Roy Hodgson, the old wily fox, has done him there, because if you'd have had about 4 or 5 guesses at that formation, I would never have guessed you'd have done that. I mean, why would you leave out Van Aanholt and Batshuayi, the 2 brilliant players?
And play someone who hasn't scored in 3 goals in 40 odd games, because he knows that Arsenal can't, the old bully boy, just like
they like it up them.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, and unfortunately, Watford tried it. It didn't work. Because
it didn't work, but
it could have, but it didn't. That's just the key thing. It didn't work, but and like you said, Hodgson just thought, get amongst it. You could just see the team talking it. Get amongst it. Get your elbows out. Make it feel uncomfortable.
This is Zaha having a go at Guendouzi. He nullified Guendouzi after they had the face up.
To be fair, I mean, being at the stadium, I said to someone next to me, one of these two is going to get sent off. They were at each other from the first minute to the last, non-stop, away from the ball, always off the ball, chirping at each other. To be fair, it was mainly Zaha going at Guendouzi. He was very lucky. They were both very lucky not to get booked, let alone sent off, to be fair.
But it worked, it just get inside his head. It worked. So
should we talk about some positives of this game? Mesut Ozil's goal. Femi, you were there. How close were you to the goal, Femi?
I sit right across the line from the Leno in the west. So I sit basically where Mustafi decided to do his special skill. So lovely. I sit right in line with that. So Mesut Ozil's goal was down the other end, but as soon as he scored it, we said, he bounced it over the keeper. Once Mesut scores a goal, it's usually that type of goal now. I think this skill is probably going to be known as his Cruyff, isn't it? He's invented a new skill of.
Explain to people what he does, because I've looked at it and I couldn't really. Is it he powers it with the inside of his foot?
Yeah, he powers it with the inside of his foot, but he hits it into the ground right where he at the point of his contact. So it's not where the keeper is; it's at the point of his contact. He bounces it through the ground over, and it always chips upwards over the keeper or over a defender. He's done it once as well, I think. It's a really, really good skill, to be fair. It is going to be known as his special skill, Mesut Ozil.
He looked angry, didn't he, Karl?
First time.
The celebration. Are you on mute, Karl?
I am on mute, Danny.
Excellent. Say that again, then.
It was passion, wasn't it?
Passion,
as the kids say. No, you could tell he was a bit angry because
he was up for it.
Yeah, I think we was playing not very well, was we? It was a bit shit, and I think the ball from Lacazette was brilliant, lovely reverse pass into Ozil, and like you said, like Femi said, he hits center of the ball. Or just underneath it, so it does bounce up. And to beat the keeper at the near post was a thing of beauty anyway. I honestly think that no keeper should get beaten at the near post ever. But to do that over his head, I don't think the keeper was expecting it. He raised his arms, but that was about it. And I think you could tell that we was frustrated, because Palace were frustrating us. Of course they were. They were nullifying us, and we was just. There's a load of nothing that we were creating chances, but nothing was really happening. Like I said, I didn't really see the game, only the highlights, and from the highlights, it was just a lot of nothing. We were breaking free, and still, I think Zaha was kind of running the show. Zaha's a good player, and I don't understand why people don't like him. I know people call him Ivy, but
that's a very special topic, isn't it? I don't.
Do you like him, Femi?
I like him. I didn't like him, but I thought his performance on Sunday was very exceptional, personally. And I just don't get, as soon as his name is linked with Arsenal, I don't know what it is. I don't want to be rude to any Arsenal fans, but we've become a bit sort of snobbish to a extent. It's like, he's not good enough for us.
I've got a question. I'm going to be controversial now. Just one word answer. Iwobi or Zaha? Danny?
Zaha. Sorry.
So you both think Zaha over Iwobi?
I do love Iwobi, but when you've played 45 games and got 5 goals this season, he's got all the time for me, but he's not really a starter. But you see the difference he makes when he comes on, like against Palace and against Everton. Femi, I just realised your name is spelt on here F-E-M. I thought it was F-E-M-I. Have I been calling you Femi and that's not your name?
No. I just shorten it on there. Don't worry about it.
God for that, because I thought, hold on, is that a double N? Is it Fen? No.
So random, Danny. My God.
Good.
But anyway, we've been avoiding it, so let's fucking talk about it. We have to.
Then we're going to end the Palace chat on the Aubameyang goal because we don't want to seem that we're all moany and grumpy. But Karl, unleash hell, go.
So when I saw in our group chat, I just saw a load of people slating Mustafi, and I was like, oh God, what's happened? So it's only when I got home and I saw the goal, I genuinely was in disbelief. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I genuinely rewound it about 6 or 7 times because I couldn't believe what he done. And I'm not even joking when I say I rewound it 6 or 7 times. I actually did. So let's just go through it just a little bit. So ball comes over. It gets I can't remember who plays it forward, but it comes on the floor. It bounces. Mustafi is ahead of Zaha, and Zaha's behind him. And Zaha's a little, I would say, Mustafi has about 6 or 7 yards on him.
This all comes from a free kick in their half, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he has about 6 or 7 yards on him. For some inexplicable reason, Mustafi stops running. Just absolutely just stops running.
Even though it's ahead of him.
Why? I understand that he thinks that the goalkeeper is going to come out. I get it. But the distance from where Leno was to how far he had to come out to get the ball was just shocking. He was never going to get that. Usain Bolt was never going to get that. So I just don't understand what was going through Mustafi's head.
Probably nothing.
Running. So, Femi, talk about you was there. So, in the ground, what was the atmosphere like when that second Crystal Palace goal went in?
Honestly, the best I will say to Mustafi is there was just open mouths everywhere. I've tried to think if I've ever seen a mistake like that in an Arsenal shirt. I can't think of ever seeing anything like that. If that was lower league football, you would be laughing on the highlights. That was. But yeah, it just shocked the stadium because we were generally on top at that time. Palace were hanging on. We were just pressuring them non-stop at that point. Just not a lot of shots, but just constantly they couldn't even get out of their half. So the free kick was like one of those. Oh, we're glad to get a breather, and for the ball to come in and for Mustafi to be shepherding the ball. I mean, I understand shepherding a ball when you're near the touchline and you're, trying to hold off a player, but to be shepherded in it, from about 30 yards on goal and then just stopping, it just didn't. It was utter disbelief. I still can't believe it. I'm still here sitting here now wondering what happened. A lot of people around me were like, "What actually happened there? Is this real? Was there offside?" Yeah, no one else.
I think it's confusion, though, wasn't it? Because when, like you were saying, Palace were defending for their lives there, they get a free kick deep inside their own area towards the goalkeeper's right, sort of between the whole goalkeeper's area and the touchline, and they have the free kick from there. And I thought, hold on, I know they score here, but I'm looking at it and I hadn't seen the goal before, and I thought, hold on. They've pushed all their players forward. What are they doing? This is going to be a long-reaching ball. He kicks it all the way downfield, and then it looks like Mustafi goes, I haven't got this. Where's he gone? Peekaboo. He's behind you. He's gone through. Then Mustafi sticks his arm up. You think, well, hold on. There's no point sticking your arm up. And then he starts flapping his hands and screaming and looking at poor old Leno. And Leno's laying on the floor going, well, what do you want me to do? I ain't going to be able to, like Karl said, I ain't going to be able to close that distance that quick. You had the player, you in front of him, then he was behind you, then he's in front of you. Did you maybe not think of putting an arm out? Because it hasn't stopped you for the rest of the season putting arms out, pulling people down, fouling people. Even if you'd have slid on your arse, he might have tripped over you. But he did none of that, did he, Karl?
No, and you're talking about basic defending. So, Danny, even bloody if you play for the Pirates, like, I'm sure if you think that he can't get the ball, put the ball out of play, kick it, hoof it to the left, hoof it to the right, hoof it over the goalkeeper if you need to. That was, for me, very, very lazy defending. It's almost like he just panicked and he didn't know what to do. Now, for someone who is a a defender. We always say he's a World Cup winning defender. Not everyone who wins the World Cup is a very good player, and I'm sick of this. Oh, but he's won the World Cup. It's bullshit. So fucking what if he's won the World Cup? Like Greece won the flipping European Cup. Does that mean that Greece are the flipping greatest team in the world? It doesn't.
He was a bit part player who covered it right back a few times.
Exactly, but I'm sick of players saying, "Oh, well, he's won the World Cup. He's got to be good." No, he doesn't have to be good. It reminded me. Me and Femi was talking about this before we started. It just reminds me of the League Cup final with him and Aguero, where the ball come over. He thought that he was fouled, where he just genuinely wasn't, and he's let Aguero go. He has these brain fart moments where you think to yourself, "What are you doing?" Like me and Femi was saying, I would love to sit him down and just say, what was going through your head when that happened? Like, what was you genuinely thinking? Like, what did you think was going to happen? And I just don't get it. I don't want to go overboard and say he's the worst defender of all time, because we've had some pretty shocking defenders,
and he's been quite good sometimes this season.
Exactly, he scored some goals this season. I don't know how many goals he's got, Danny. Probably 2 or 3.
Something like
I want to say, but he just has these moments, and you think to yourself, "What the hell?" Like I know Twitter can can make compilations, or so say YouTube can make compilations of making you look the best player in the world or the worst player in the world. Now, I've seen a compilation of all his mistakes apparently, and when you look at them, you do look at them and think, "Wow, what the hell has gone on there?" But for me, he just has these moments where he just switches off. Now, in Premier League football, you can't do that. You have to be switched on all the time. And
you had one of those moments where you walk into the kitchen and go, "What am I doing in the kitchen?"
Yeah, 100%. But I just think I can't see a way that he stays at Arsenal next season. I can't. I think Femi was.
You think so? You think not? I've got this feeling that we're not. How do we get rid of this guy? Honestly, I think
he's lost. We're not going to get.
I think the only way we get rid of him is to send him on loan. I don't think anyone's going to buy him.
He's going to be on a decent wage compared to.
He's on. I think I heard 90 a week, so
something like that.
Already, yeah.
I mean, Spanish teams can't afford him outside the big two, and they don't want him. Some Italian teams, he spent some time playing in Italy, they might want him, but again, you're not playing a centre back £90,000 a week plus the £35 million we paid him. The only justification could be Emery says, "I didn't buy him. He isn't part of my team. I don't want him. You do whatever you want with him," because unlike Wenger, Emery doesn't do all the transfer dealings and all that lot. So whereas Wenger will be going, if you buy something for 35 quid and you're thinking a couple of years later, "I paid 35 quid for that. I want good money for it." Emery's going to go, I don't care. I'd get rid of him, get someone else in, hopefully. But he does have good games. I think a lot of it depends on who's playing next to him.
So I think what you need to do, Danny, is do a compilation of his good games so we can actually sell him. And let's stop retweeting all these mistakes. Let's make him look like the best centre back in the world.
But, and I think, do you know what? I'm going to say this, and some people might not agree with me. I don't agree with abusing players. You can have your opinion, and you can say, "Oh, he hasn't had a good game," but tweeting players to say, "Oh, you're shit, get out of my club." Come on, man. How old are you? Like, I don't get it. Like, we can have a conversation with us and we can say, "Oh, he's rubbish," and we can have our opinions. You can have an opinion. That's fine. No, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. But actually tweeting a player like, "Oh, get out of my club," and "You're not fit to wear the shirt," and all that nonsense. Like, talk about it, but don't act the player. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? And if people think that these players, and I know, like, someone like Mesut Ozil, who doesn't run his account, I don't think Mesut Ozil even knows his Twitter password, let alone ever tweeted. But like, I think to myself, why would you tweet? What does tweeting a player do? And these players do read it. Of course they do. Now, that's going to knock his confidence. Now, from now to the end of the season, we need every single player. Just because we are struggling for players right now, we really, really are. But for me, you've absolutely got to have an opinion. That's fine. I don't care. People on Twitter like just say Mustafi is shit. You can say that. That's fine, but don't act the player. Like,
I think this one went really far this weekend, didn't it? Because it went to his wife, didn't it? People started abusing his wife, and she had to shut, sort of private her account. It's like, it goes back to the little campaign that the PFA tried to run last week, that Enough campaign. don't really understand that. I saw it quite late, but I don't know. I guess it's in all walks of life, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if people tweet people that make their favorite TV shows and say, "Oh, that episode was crap," get out of here. But it seems to be like a football thing now, which is every club has it. Just keyboard warriors going absolutely
Stupid, because
crazy.
if you saw him face to face, you ain't gonna say that to him. Like, you're not gonna do it. So why do you think you can say? Like I said, I don't care that people can have the conversation and say, "Oh, he's not good enough." You can have, like, I'm not, people will disagree with that as well, but you can have your opinion. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion to say whether someone's good or bad or not. At the end of the day, he's a player for our club, and yes, I would rather not have him at our club right now, but at the end of the day, he's there and he's going to need to play games in the running for us to get top four and also try and win this Europa League. Now, tweeting him saying you're shit and all sorts like that, what's that going to do? Like, it's going to be nonsense. And these players, like, these days, they're all down to confidence. They need to feel loved. Like, as much as you think it doesn't matter, it does. They're not the old school days where you could say to Tony Adams, like, "Oh, you're shit. Water for ducks back." You probably be like, "Yeah, okay, cool, whatever." But these players need to feel loved these days, and I just don't get the tweeting him and tweeting his wife. Like, what's his wife got to do with it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nonsense. But
It's not like in the old days when I've told this story before, when I was watching Peterborough v Spurs in a pre-season friendly, and I'm sat there with Sean's mum that I was with at the time, and Rolf Fox ran by with the ball, and I shouted, "Rolf Fox, you're fucking shit." He just stopped, looked at me, and went social misses, and carried on going. Oh dear, yeah. A little bit here from the FPFA. It's #enough. On Friday, the 19th of April, professional footballers in Wales and England will boycott social media to take a stand against racism. The Enough campaign was organised by the PFA, which would encourage players not to use any form of social media from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. the next day. And I actually, now that you've said it, I did see, I always look through the Arsenal ladies, and a load of them had tweeted a red background with the word enough on it. Yeah. So I had seen it, but I didn't know what it was. So
it was mainly for racism. So I didn't
everything,
know. Now that you've explained it, yeah, I thought it was like
not
racism
work, though, is it?
Online abuse, isn't it?
No, what you need to do is film with a player going around the person's house and going, "Then come on, then you called me a this or that, now call me it," and then they wouldn't even answer the door, would they? Shame them, like in Game of Thrones, the walk of shame.
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 But let's just wrap up the Palace game real quick. So
yeah,
and then Palace went 3-1 up. Danny, do you want to go through the third goal real quick?
Yeah, they got a corner, come drifting in. There was chaos in the box. No one really knew what was going on. One of their players jumped up. It looked like it hit one of their players, and then got contact with it. Then it hit their player, and then it went in. You're thinking, well, poor old Leno. I mean, I had to look at it, but like you, I was using it on Sky, and I went, "I'm going to go and download the game." So I watched the game, and I'm looking at it like that and going, pause, back, pause. I still couldn't see what happened, but it just looked like a calamity, and you couldn't really blame anybody for that. It's just general bad luck. Did you see it? Was that at your end, Femi? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. All their goals, their last 2 goals were out, and we thought it was offside. We thought it was offside at first, but clearly, Benteke was offside. But the guy that got I don't understand we've been so good at set pieces. The assistant manager comes out as soon as we get a set piece, and he does all the calling of what set pieces. We just, maybe it was like you said, Danny, the fact that Palace changed their team just totally confused us on set pieces.
He does like to plan a lot, doesn't he? And plus having Mavropanos there, who everybody apart from me has been saying, "Oh, Mavropanos has got to play. He's the greatest defender ever." No, he's not. No, he's a child. He's played, 5 games? He obviously can't control himself because he found someone in the first few minutes and to be taken off.
The thing that happened with him also is, as soon as he made that yellow card foul, he had a couple of one-on-ones with Zaha that he just could not make a tackle. And Zaha was just running past him. That's why he had to get substituted at half. I mean, he's played he gets subbed every match that he plays. So I don't know.
It's a strange situation. Have you got any final words, Karl, before we get Femi to do listeners' questions? Can you see the questions, Femi?
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah, I'll quickly wrap up the Aubameyang goal because we ended on a positive note. So I think the run from Aubameyang was quite well. He got a bit of luck because come off one of the Palace players, and he managed to slot it into the net. And I thought it was a very good finish from him. Away from the goalkeeper, right into the bottom corner. He has had a little barren spell, to say the least, but he's trying to find a little bit of form, which is really, really good, and hopefully it will continue. But yeah, I think that's as good as it got. We tried to come back into the game, it didn't
Well,
work.
Iwobi had a chance, didn't he? A
Yeah,
one-on-one
yes.
chance.
Did he sky
He
it?
should have scored. He was one. It was a lovely move, and he was basically in front of the keeper, and he kicked it right in the keeper's hands. To be fair, it was a very, very poor effort from Iwobi. That was the only chance I think we had, but it was literally just one-on-one in the 6-yard box.
Yes, and
just
it
pick
come
a
across,
corner and
and
you score. Yeah, it
So
was
at
a poor
3-1, did people
finish.
start to leave?
Oh no, people literally left earlier than you. It was weird atmosphere. There was booing at half time as well, which was really weird. Considering the amount of games we've won in a row, it's quite weird. I wasn't expecting that, to be fair, but it was a poor first half. Which, yeah, but you know, it was always going to happen. We weren't going to win every game at home, so we just have to. Hopefully, it's a slap in the face that can wake them up. They can go on a decent run to the end of the season, really.
So quickly, what do you think this does to our top 4 chances, Danny? Do you think we make top 4 now still?
Yes.
Femi, do you think we make top 4?
Yes, but only based on everyone else's results.
Yeah, because they're all tripping over each other.
Yeah.
Karl,
I think we 3 wins out of 4 will do it.
I think we'll get top 4. I honestly think I think had we beaten Palace, I would have said we would have get 3rd, but nah, not now. I don't think.
If anybody's at the game, you see Mustafi, cheer him on, shout him, go, come on, Mustafi, give him some love.
We're going to need him because we cannot play Mr. Koscielny in every game, can we?
4 in a row.
So we're going to need Mustafi. We're going to need to support our players. No matter what you think of them, to be fair.
Whether they like it or not, like you're saying, Koscielny can't play every game. Yeah. Socrates is busy elbowing people and getting sent off.
Mavropanos is not ready.
Yeah, and Mustafi's 3rd choice, which means he's going to be playing a lot of games, especially if we play more back threes. So that's really reminded me a little bit of the Thierry Henry goal, that Aubameyang goal, and the Nat. You know, Nat's have got really quick reflexes. The Nat-like reflex of doing his run, going through everyone, slaloming, and then slaloming. I don't know how to say that bloody word.
Slaloming.
Thank you. And then for the ball to hit one of the defenders, and then immediately come back at him, and he took less than a split second to go. Oh, got it! Bang, back of the net. What a wonderful player! And I can't believe people are talking about him leaving next season just to save money on wages. No, he'd be one of the most important ones to keep, if nothing else, for his celebrations with Lacazette. Anyway. Femi, do you want to do the listeners' questions? When you get down to 1, you'll see one from Nicky Wilson. Then I've gone and calculated the goal ratios after that, so you can read some of those out, whichever ones you fancy reading out.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so listener questions. Thank you for all your questions as usual. So I'm going to ask the first question. I'll ask Karl this one. It's from Fraser Corbett. It says, if you could pick 3 players from the other top 5 Premier League clubs to have at Arsenal, who would they be? And it says you can't have more than 1 from any club. Should be quite easy, maybe.
Okay, so from Manchester City, I would take Fernandinho.
Oh, controversial there.
He's on the verge of retiring, isn't he? He's that old.
Oh, he would do so much. He's so good in our midfield. I think he's such a rock. From Liverpool, I would take Van Dijk.
Yeah,
everyone knows that. And from so I've got to pick 1 from Chelsea, 1 from Spurs, or 1 from Man United.
Yeah, you got 1 more player to pick.
God, I can't take any Man United players.
Not even Pogba. Imagine him pulling the strings in midfield. It'd be glorious.
No, can I take any Chelsea players? Fuck it. Bring back Giroud. Bring back Giroud. That's what I do. Bring back sexy Giroud. Yes,
he's going for the hearts, people. He's going for the heart things.
So that's what I would do.
Danny, what would you do? Anything different?
I'd go Van Dijk and I'd go Pogba, just because he is the kind of world-class player that we'd love at the club, and I think he'd flourish having those 2 playing in front of him. And then we're going to have someone who's a left back, aren't we? So what left backs available? There's Alonso, but he's not really had a good season. He's more of a left wing back. Come on, help me out. Who's the other left back? So who's the left back for?
City,
Is that one with the Z in it for Man City, isn't it?
Oh, Zivchenko is
Yeah, no, I don't want
playing
him.
at the moment, or Benjamin Mendy, but he's been pretty
he's...
woeful this season.
I don't know.
Actually, sorry, can I make a substitution?
Yeah.
I'll take Sterling for.
there you go.
That's why I was said controversial when you said
I'll take Sterling instead.
Sterling rather than Iwobi. That's not really a hard choice, is it?
Yeah.
That's the change that I would have done.
So what about you, Femi? Who are you taking?
I would have taken Sterling, Van Dijk, and I would just take Eden Hazard to be controversial from Chelsea. If there's
Ramsey's
no limit.
Playing where Ramsey plays.
Yeah.
He'd love it, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So good question, Fraser. So the second question, this is with a view to a film that's coming out tomorrow night. Actually, I'm looking forward to it. I got my ticket. I'm excited. It's from Nicky Wilson. I'll ask you, Danny. You can sign 3 Avengers to play in the first team next season. You must explain your choice and what position they will play.
I'd have Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man, and I'll play them all in central midfield. No fucking around. Job done. You can just keep them there. No one's getting past them. Play Hulk in goal even.
Karl?
I'm playing Hulk at centre back, Captain America in centre midfield, and Black Panther up front.
Oh, there you go. Black Panther up front. I like that one.
What do you have, Femi? It's a funny question.
I would take Scarlet Witch to help with their mentality of our stupid team. She would sort them out there. Yeah, then I'll take Hulk at centre back most definitely, and I like your Black Panther up front. Actually, that's a really, I can't think of anything better than that, to be honest.
Can I dedicate that question to Akib, because Akib absolutely loves Avengers, don't you, Akib? So, and he loves Game of Thrones as well.
He's always messaging us in there. We've got a gaming group, and he's always messaging there how much he loves Game of Thrones. Akib!
Oh yeah, I was in trouble this month. I've been waking up at 2 a.m. My wife's been like, "What are you doing up?" I can't explain to her that I'm waking up to watch Game of Thrones. You just wouldn't understand. So next question is from Noir Confidential. It says, how confident are you that Spurs are gonna bottle it again and fail in the Champions League, Karl?
I've got such a sneaky suspicion they're going to get to the final. I would love Ajax to beat them. I really, really would. But I've got a feeling they're going to get to the final. I really do. And it's going to kill me. It really, really is. And I still think that Liverpool or Barcelona will kill them. I do. But I've got a feeling they're going to get to the final.
Danny?
Well, I suppose they've got 3 Ajax centre-backs for Tongan, Alderweireld, Welly and Sanchez, haven't they? So, that'd be for them. They'll be used to the formation, the setup, because Ajax played the Ajax way and they have done for years. But for Spurs ain't going to win it. There's no way on their day they can beat Liverpool with the Egyptian Walcott, and there's no way they can beat Barcelona. So I don't care. It is going to be hilarious seeing all those mugs if they do beat Ajax, which I'm not even confident they will, going all the way to the final and then getting hammered, just like Liverpool a couple of years ago. Or last year, was it? All those bin dipping scumbags. Oh, we're going to win it. We're going to win it. No, you're fucking not. Shut up and sit down, you twats. So what do you think?
I can't even take Spurs making the final. I can't imagine radio and TV for the whole week with build-up of Spurs in the final. It would be
just for getting there.
It would be unbearable. I think Ajax can do it.
Yeah.
I've looked at Ajax. Their goal-scoring record is ridiculous.
106 league goals they've got.
Yeah, the most in their history. So they, hopefully, they have a similar game to Real Madrid and Juventus. Tottenham got a lot of injuries. Son is suspended. So let's go, Ajax. Just do it for us, please, please. Next question is from Matt L. Roberts, and his question is about one of the players that played on Sunday. Actually, it says, why are people blaming Jenkinson? I thought he was solid. Yes, he played them onside for the first goal, but I actually thought he deserved to stay on the pitch. I would have changed Elneny as he had no effect in the first half instead. Do you agree, Danny?
Well, I added the "do you agree" bit on the end because he just put it as a statement. But yeah, I'd have gone forward to back. gone and let Kolasinac play at left back. I know it might have been tougher. 2 centre backs, so taken Mavropanos off and played Jenkinson at right back, and then stuck someone on in the middle of the field to try and give a little bit more creativity. Because when Ozil's coming back into the midfield to get the ball, you know there's a problem.
I'm going to be honest with you and say Jenkinson was awful on Sunday. This is the point, actually. It got to a point in the first half where Mesut Ozil stopped passing to him. So he was free. You could see it on the pitch. He was free. Mesut Ozil stopped passing to 2 players, Elneny and Jenkinson. You could see that they were free, and he would never, ever pass to them. He was just doing 1-2s with Lacazette at the edge of the box and putting themselves in worse positions rather than pass to players like Jenkinson. They were passing to him. He was miscontrolling the ball. It just was a game too much for him, I think. I'll be honest with you. We did go to 4 at the back because we brought on Maitland-Niles, and it was just a night and day difference. I think that was it for Jenkinson, to be honest. I don't think people are blaming him. I just think he just wasn't good on Sunday, to be honest with me. That's the honest truth. Karl, do you have any opinions on that? Or
Jenkinson's living every fan's dream. That's all it is. Solid is a strong word, and he was far from solid. He's not good enough to play for Arsenal. 100%, he's not good enough at all. And I hate to say this, but the sooner that we can spend his £40,000 wages on somebody else, the better.
True.
Yeah. I remember I used to listen to the Footballistically, and Alan Alger's got such a strong opinion on Jenkinson, is that he should not even be a League One player. But I think Jenks just needs to actually leave Arsenal and make a career for himself. I think he'll be a decent for a team. Didn't he play for a Sam Allardyce team?
Yeah,
for
West Ham, 2 loans.
Yeah,
and really
played decent. Yeah, so he played for a defensive team. He might make a decent career for himself in the Premier League. So
I think he's go down a league or 2. I think he does need to go down a league, and maybe in the Championship he might flourish. But I think the Premier League is, or at least Arsenal, is just not good. He's not good enough to play for Arsenal, and maybe going down a step, get regular games, playing week in week out, it might get better.
But then when you're thinking, sorry.
I'll say that's something else we haven't mentioned, is the fact that Jenkinson and Elneny have been thrown in at the deep end with fuck all games all season. It's got to be tough.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say, when you think about it, Jenkinson was 4th choice right back, wasn't he? Because if you think we started with Bellerin and Lichtsteiner, Lichtsteiner's nowhere to be seen at the moment. He's totally shot to pieces, isn't he? And he was playing for Switzerland, but he doesn't play for Arsenal. So you can see that Jenkinson's number 4 choice, and he's now starting ahead of Lichtsteiner, which says a lot about the position. That's why I keep thinking: are we making the most of our squad at the moment? Don't know, really.
A couple of players with experience would probably be better off. A bit slower, but more experience.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is about transfers. So we're getting into that time of the year now where people are looking at who's leaving, especially. And it's a question from Jonas. It says, rumours surfacing again about Ozil and Mkhitaryan leaving this summer. We already have a lot of work to focus on in other areas. So do you see this happening, Karl?
I see one of the 2 leaving. I think if you have both of them leave, that's a lot of creativity leaving, a lot of experience as well. So I can't see them both leaving because I just can't see who else we get in for our limited funds that we have. So for me, I'd rather Mkhitaryan leave than Ozil, but ultimately it's down to Emery and the club and who we can sell him to. That's the thing, is who is going to be the buyer for our players. It's always saying, yeah, they've got to leave, but not necessarily other clubs want to buy our players.
Very true. Danny, any opinions on that?
600 grand a week for the pair of them, ish, just under. I'm just looking at Mkhitaryan. He played 56 against Napoli, didn't play against Palace, 90 against Watford, 23 against Napoli, 90 Everton, 6 against Newcastle. Before that, he's played the full 90 minutes, 4 out of 5 games. So I get the feeling there's something up. He just really hasn't been doing much, has he? So I think, I'd like to see them both go, actually, because that's a lot of money that it could be spent. I mean, that's 600 grand. Even if you get players on 100 grand a week, you get decent players. I mean, if you get one top-class player on 200 grand a week and 4 other players on 100 grand a week. But I decided a while ago I'm not going to complain about money anymore because the club get not a single penny out of me. So they can do what they want.
I think that the one of the key things in Jonas's question is about work to do in other areas. I can't see us turning over 10, 11 players in a summer.
It's too much. It's just too much.
It's far too much. And if you think that we've already got Cech, Ramsey, Welbeck, that's already 3 that need replacing or leaving.
And Lichtsteiner either.
Lichtsteiner, there you go. Lichtsteiner, that's already 4 first, and these are first team players that have contributed in some way or another. Then you're going to have.
He's not coming back.
Yeah, you'll probably have players like Chambers, Ospina, that won't be coming back. You've got to get rid of a lot of players. We still have the issue of this sporting director nonsense that we were looking at. We should have made an appointment. We don't have one of those. Like, who's handling all these negotiations? I don't see us selling players that are on 2 or more years of their contract this summer, to be honest. I think we're going to have to concentrate on fringe players rather than first team players now.
The thing is, even though it's only April, the club would have already identified who they want to sign, and there's no doubt they wouldn't be talking to that player already. Like, by now they would have, I wouldn't say tapping up, but their agents would have been made aware of our interest, and it would be, could your player be interested in coming to us if we paid him X amount? So I believe that the feelers would already be out. I think that's why Man United are putting Solskjaer, because they know then they need to start getting these players ready for the next season. So I know every player's going to be saying, well, who's going to be your manager next season? So
you can hear the agent slapping zeros on the end of every player's numbers that we want.
Yeah, 100%. So whether we've got a sporting director or not, I think we've already started, I'll call it what it is, tapping up players already of who we want to sign. It's just at the moment we have our centre-back department really needs work. So do our right-back department, possibly our left-back department. Do we need another goalkeeper to replace Cech? We definitely do need another player to replace Ramsey. Do we need wide players? We've got a lot of work to do, I think.
So what we've probably got, if we're going according to what you're saying, is we've probably got a list of players for if we qualify for the Champions League, and a list of players for if we don't.
Oh yeah, 100%, definitely.
yeah, because that will probably, a lot of this stuff that we're even talking about will probably depend on which competition we're playing in next season.
And even then, it's worrying because if we get 4th, we still got to qualify for the Champions League. So that's not even a guarantee us getting into the Champions League.
I said this.
No, there's no more qualifying. It's gone for the top 4 European leagues. It's gone now. So Italy,
I only found that out last week when I was told. When I said, "Oh, we got qualifying," I said, "Nope."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no more. So I don't know how they. Well, obviously they threatened to break away league, didn't they? So now Italy, Spain, England, and Germany don't have to qualify.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah, so we're a bit lucky with that, but you do still have that odd scenario that if you finish 4th, you might not qualify for the Champions League, which is quite unlikely. But you probably want to try and finish 3rd to avoid that.
No, that's supposed to. That's only if
Spurs finish outside the top 4.
Yeah,
and Chelsea finish outside the top 4. And win the Europa and Champions League. So
I'm saying it now, it will never happen. Remember this, Danny? We play this, Danny, when it does happen. I'm like, Karl, you bastard! You said it was going to happen.
I don't know what that can't happen. I'll definitely not be in this country for that moment. Definitely could not handle that. So the next question is once again from Neo Confidential. It says, which of our young players would you send out on loan this summer, and which do you think should get more chances in the first team next season? I know, Danny, you do some work on some of the youth players, so you might could answer this a little bit.
I suppose simply put, it's going to be if we get Champions League, which we will, aren't we, Karl?
Of course. Yes,
it's going to be Mavropanos will have to go. Martinez isn't good enough to be backup goalkeeper. I do like him. Nketiah, he's going to have to go. Smith Death Row, he's going to have to go out on loan to decent clubs as well. We're going to have a new transfer policy. If you loan our players, you play our players, and maybe Reece Nelson. If we get Europa League, I think a lot of them will play because someone said in the recent pod, it might have been Ellis, that if we play in the Europa League, these players will get to play Europa League games in the group stages. But if it's Champions League, then they're not going to do it because the only things they'll get at the club will be early rounds of FA Cup and the League Cup, and that's no way to get your young players ready for having a flourishing career at Arsenal, is it? So, mainly those ones. There's quite a few other ones coming through as well, like especially Balogun and John Jules, and who's the Scottish bloke? I can't believe I've forgotten his bloody name. That's terrible. He follows me on Twitter as well. He's probably blocked me now. Oh, he's the only Scottish player we've got. Played in the Europa League games. Charlie Gilmore. There you go. Yes, so I'd like to see him get in. Although he's English, he plays for Scotland. But we've got so many young players, and we're about to win the Ladies' League and the Under-23 League. And it might even, at a push, get really far in the Under-18s League because we have gone on a hell of a run. Now there's no more Europa League group games. We have been smashing everything in there, so it could be a triple of titles there. There you go.
Yeah. I think it's quite weird with young players. It's about sending them to the right club, isn't it, for their development? You don't want to be sending players out on loan and they're not playing like we've had the last. I remember Danny used to read out the loan report quite a lot of time.
Bring them back.
And you just get these players that played 0 games. He hasn't played. What's the point? What's the point of that?
Well, loaning our goalkeeper out to a conference team, Luton.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. You send them to really lower league teams. What's the point of that?
Or the Dutch second division. Pointless.
Yeah, so
you get game time, but is it better than playing in the Under-18s and the Under-23s league? I bet the opposition is better for us.
I can see Reece Nelson going back out on loan, and I can see Emil Smith Rowe staying where he is in Germany.
I don't. I think we're going to keep a lot of our players because I think the English quota. We definitely don't have enough. If you think Ramsey's gone, if you think Jenkinson's going to go, if you think
maybe Welbeck's
going to go, that's 3 players. We don't have enough in the squad at the moment, so we're going to have to keep some of our players. Like maybe
Martinez is homegrown as well.
He's 26 now, though, as well.
Yeah.
Keep thinking of him as a young man.
So I think we're going to end up keeping a lot of our youth players and using them as homegrown players.
Well, I'd like to see that because that's the way forward. Rather than sending them to German teams and they're doing wonders over there, keep them here. Let them play on the bench. Come on from the bench.
But will they?
Yeah, this is the problem. You've got players like, I mean, look at Nketiah. This whole season has been a waste of a season for him. He's hardly played. He's hardly even come on as sub. What's the point of that? It can't help his development at all.
Exactly.
I think he did. I remember seeing the Under-23s who beat Chelsea 3-1 at their place. I'm just looking. I think Nketiah got a couple of goals there. Yeah, he did. He got two goals there, and he got an assist for the 3rd goal that Jenkinson scored. So when he does dip back into the Under-23s, he is immense.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question. This is quite an interesting question, actually. It follows on from the last little bit of the Palace match that we spoke about. It's from Nicky Wilson again. It says, why has Iwobi's finishing gotten worse since his debut? And he said here, Iwobi has played the 6th most games for Arsenal in the current squad, 144 games, and he's only scored 14 goals in that 144 games. And
so many a sub though, aren't they?
Yeah, to put that into context,
you have to read all these out, just whichever ones you think are interesting.
I think some of them, if you look at, let's say, Welbeck, who's a wide player that comes in as well, he scores 1 in every 3.9 games. Ozil, who doesn't even score that much, he scores 1 in every 5.25 games, and even Mkhitaryan scores in 1.55 games. Iwobi is just ahead of Granit Xhaka, who scores 1 in every 11.6 games. Iwobi scoring 1 in every 10 games. That's quite low. What do you think about that, Karl?
and people want to tell me Iwobi's good enough. Like, I'm sick of this shit. Like, Iwobi is not. I'm sorry. Boo me, tweet me, at me, come at me, bro. I don't care. I'll trap you on a train underneath the tunnel. Like, Iwobi is that 1 in 10. Don't tell me that's good enough. And yeah, you put it into context. You can say, oh, and it comes on for the last 10 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And you can put anything into context out of stats. But 1 in 10 is no way near good enough for a team like Arsenal. You're meant to be an attacking player. It's not. We need, and people want to tell me that Zaha, people take Iwobi over Zaha. Come on, I guarantee Zaha has not got 1 in 10. And I'm expecting Danny to tell me what Zaha is in any second now.
I think he's their top goal scorer, but this season, Iwobi's got 5 goals in 46 games.
And I want to see Iwobi do well. And trust me, I want to see one of our academy players like be a hero at our club. I really do. But he isn't good enough. And yes, he's improved this season immensely. And I'm not going to sit here and say that he hasn't. He's gotten better this season. But getting better doesn't mean that you're good enough. And people can say, give him time. How much time do we need to give him? We need results now. And I'm not saying just cash in him and get rid of him, but unfortunately, we are in a business where instant results matter, and this instant results is what we need. And I'm not expecting Iwobi to become, brilliant overnight, because he's not going to. Of course he's not going to, but 1 in 10 for me is no way near good enough. If someone like Koscielny has got 1 in 12 and Xhaka's got 1 in 1 in 11, and Iwobi's got 1 in 10, that just puts into context for me.
Zaha's 1 in 6.48 throughout his entire career, and in his current spell with Crystal Palace, it's 1 in 5.2, half, double what Iwobi is.
You see, right now, I remember Chris, a tweet from Chris saying how Zaha's bully boy tactics and blah, blah, blah. But I know for it. Exactly. But I know for a fact that if we was to have Zaha, he would walk into our squad 100%, and Iwobi would be benched. There's no doubt about that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the difference between us and let's say where you can make ground up on the top two, look at the contribution from their wide attackers compared to ours. So you're looking at Mane and Salah for Liverpool. Look at the output that you're getting from them, and you're looking at Sterling and Bernardo, or probably Sterling and Bernardo Silva. Let's say, look at the output that you're getting. So what Arsenal need to start looking at is, where are we lacking? How are we going to make progress basically to catch these two top teams? That's clearly one of the areas that we're going to have to make a change, which is a wide forward. We're going to have to say, you know what, you're a good player, but you're not at the level that we need to get where we need to go. To be honest, we need to know what our ambitions are as a club, and if we have ambitions to be chasing Man City and Liverpool, then unfortunately players like Iwobi will have to either sit on the bench or just take some sort of backseat role. To be honest, that's what I would say.
Like I said, I think Iwobi has done really well in improving this season. He's one of the very few players that actually carry the ball forward for us. And I'm not saying he's shit. I'm not going to sit here and say he's rubbish, but he's just not good enough to play for Arsenal personally. That's just my personal opinion.
Definitely, he changed the game on Saturday when he came on in terms of energy, drive, dribbling, but end product was
not pretty
there. Just pathetic on Sunday. To be honest, he had a chance, a few crosses. It's I don't like to. I like Iwobi. He's a good, like you said, he's an Arsenal.
Yeah, he's an Arsenal player through and through. He's been Arsenal since
exactly.
6, 7, 8. But sometimes there's no harm in saying you're just not good enough.
Yeah,
we talked about Jack Wilshere. Everyone wanted Jack Wilshere to make it. He was, I hate to say this phrase, one of our own, but ultimately he just wasn't good enough either.
Yeah, and I think what we need to start doing as well, if you think about it, is making call on players quite early, if you get what I mean. Not wait until everyone thinks they're not good enough, and then we get no value for them, which is what we've been doing the last few years. We get nothing for selling our players. We literally get peanuts, and that's because we hold on to them. in the hope that they're going to get better.
Like, I'm not advocating selling Iwobi, but if we can get someone, I would swap Iwobi for Zaha, and it's not just a fad. I actually would. Like, if we could get, I don't know, 10 mil plus Iwobi for Zaha, would you do that, Danny? 10 mil plus Iwobi for Zaha to Palace.
Well, is Zaha English? I know he plays for is it the Ivory Coast he plays for?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, but is he English? Didn't he play for England under-21s or something? So would he count as homegrown?
Yeah.
I'd go for it then, yeah. Plus he's a character, and we love a character at Arsenal, don't we?
He's got attitude, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I
sometimes
like.
too much attitude. I do see what Chris says about him throwing himself to the ground. He does literally every time someone comes near him. He just makes sure that the referee knows that he has been touched.
Yeah, but he gets fouled a lot.
He does get fouled a lot, but then again, we need some of those little dark things in our squad, don't we? We've got a lot of nicey players still, and I think Emery might want to just change it up, get some attitude in the team, just some different characters, I think it will really quite help us.
I think he's going to.
Theo Walcott's, put it that way.
Well, he scored it against Man United, didn't he?
Oh, it brought me joy texting my friend a Theo Walcott meme. Oh, it was lovely.
And Jack Wilshere made his comeback for West Ham, came on in the last 10 minutes.
He did indeed.
Yeah, watch that. Good. Right, we need to get a move on, gentlemen. So
so we have got what are we doing here? Last couple of questions. So we got a question from Karl. I'll let him ask his question. Actually,
if all the ABW members was in Game of Thrones, he would sit on the throne. FYI, it would be me. No fucking would be Chris. It would be me.
Chris is a beautiful human being with great hair and amazing suits. I'd pick Chris.
Yeah, but
I'd bend the knee.
You know what?
You'd probably win because you're like the who's the bloke with the armor, the massive one. That's the world's strongest man.
Oh,
the mountain.
Karl is our mountain. He's gonna kill everyone and win. So you let him Karl do it straight away, or he's gonna kill you and do it. So either way, Karl wins.
I'd make Andrew Fife the hand of the king. That's what I'd do. Actually, I'd make Ellis the hand of the king. I make him do all my bidding for me.
And he has to answer the name. Fuck Ellis.
Exactly.
I think Ozzy Dom might have a chance of sitting on that throne.
No, he'd be too busy like what's the dwarf mobbing everyone. No, the northern bloke who used to be in Soldier. What's his name? The one who taught one-handed bloke how to fight with sword again.
Oh, Braun.
Yeah, that'd be Dom, busy drinking and mobbing everything.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so New York Confidential has another question. It says Emery. It has been mentioned in the past that Emery doesn't like to have big egos in his team. He famously had problems with the likes of Neymar at PSG. So, how impressed are you with how well he's handled the Ramsey ego this season? Karl, you go for it.
Well, as we know, Ramsey's got the biggest ego in football. I don't know if you heard that, Danny.
I have heard that, and I believe it's fake news.
Oh, no, Ramsey hasn't got a big ego. At the end of the day, Ramsey just wants to play football, and Arsenal, the football club, messed up his contract, so he's leaving. Good luck to him. Do you know what? We are going to miss him immensely, and I'm sorry that he's leaving. I am, because now I think maybe he's played his last game for Arsenal. I do. I hope he hasn't. I hope he gets over his. I hope he gets over his hamstring injury, but I doubt it. But we are going to miss him immensely, and I seriously think that all the people that were saying that he's not good enough, and I had my moments. I said that all these flicks and tricks were annoying. Jason will be testament to that. I did definitely, and me and Chris definitely went after him for a few times, but we are going to miss him immensely, and it's going to be sad when he goes, because he's been definitely this season Arsenal player of the season, and I think it's funny that he wasn't even in the running for Arsenal player of the season because they know he's leaving.
And welcome to DL Piero Wonderland next season. It's a spin-off.
Yeah, I think Ramsey's had I think more impressive has been the way Emery's handled the Ozil situation, because that looked like it was going to go off the rails at some point this season, and it's sort of come back, hasn't he? So he's
Certainly has.
integrated him back into the team.
Mhm.
The next question is from Eric Colton. It says, does any of the AFC podcast crew know if Arsenal have played a game with VAR yet? Also, next season, can you do a regular pod and then a separate VAR pod?
Well, yeah, we would all the FA Cup games with VAR, weren't they? So we
I
must
looked
would
at
have
that.
played.
We weren't on the list.
No,
Weren't we?
I haven't
Oh,
seen
No.
one at the
They
Emirates.
did 8 games in the third round. We weren't one of
There
them.
was a Carling Cup semi-final against Chelsea last season. Semi-final.
Maybe.
That was at the Emirates. Definitely used VAR for that one.
I had to look and I couldn't find a list of it.
Yeah, there was definitely. I know that one was at the Emirates, but I can't think of many, to be
I
honest.
think it's definitely going to help us out because we have been a notoriously unlucky and roughed up side, and that kind of shenanigans can be cut out. The diving, the fouling, the dodgy goals, and all that lot. So
you
I think.
hope so.
Well, yeah, and I don't hope so.
I mean,
I'm quite
we have our
certain.
fair share. Let's not not say we have our fair share. We do, I think Socrates is going to be on the wrong side of oh no. Yeah, sorry, Brighton are holding on against Spurs. But,
I'm looking at that.
Brighton
Trying to
nearly
not
scored a goal.
concentrate.
They went left hand corner. Luis
Yeah.
barely got a paw to it.
But yes, I think I don't like VAR. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it should be in the game. However, it is in the game, and we're going to have to accept it.
I'll
Like,
be honest with you, Carl. If you don't like VAR now, I don't think you are going to like the way Premier League is going to introduce VAR next season, because apparently they're not going to let the referees use the monitor.
Well, that tiny little 6-inch thing that looks like it's
Yes,
from a Casio data bank watch.
And all the decisions are going to come from the video room, which I think is very dodgy, personally.
How do I apply to be a video referee? Because no, in all seriousness, how do you get to be a video referee? Like, because they're not actual referees, are they?
Probably not.
So I'm going to Google that, actually. I want to apply to be a video referee.
I'd like to see Len Goodman from Strictly Come Dancing on there.
Oh,
He'd
God.
be great. Anyway, we need Feist Forum, Carl. I've put in the Feist Forum in there. You can read that. Cheers for asking those, Femi.
No worries.
Well done.
Danny, where is Feist Forum?
It's in the chat box, in our group chat to the right-hand side. Do you see it? Ding, 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 ding.
I've got listeners' questions.
Ding. Scroll down. Do, 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 do.
I'm right down to the bottom.
Oh, dear. Well, if I put it in again.
Yes, I have. Don't worry.
Hey.
Yes. Right. So, Feist Forum. This week's Feist Forum's question is it fair to blame Mustafi when we've only got 5 out of our 12 shots on target? Aubameyang had one on target. Lacazette had 0. So,
There you go.
right. Fraser Corbett said, although there's plenty of blame to go around, selection, Jenkinson, etc., I think it's fine to blame Mustafi. You scored 2 at home, you should be getting at least a point. There's no cumulative aspect that should be considered. Okay, I'll go to Noir Confidential, and his answer says, the form of our strikers should have no impact on how we should judge our defenders. If people expect our strikers to bail out our defenders, then we are having an absolute off day. It should be fair to expect our defenders to sometimes save the strikers as well. Matt L. Roberts says, we've had this talk with Josh on Twitter, and it's the fault is debatable, as Mustafi fails to shoot the ball from Zaha, but calls on Leno, who is very far away to come to the ball. I remember when Kos made the error and learned from it. I just hope that they are trying to improve for the Wolves game. Jonas says, yes, he is to blame. Missing chances happens every game, but not as decisive as having brain farts as Mustafi did in defence. I want to say, I'm going to totally Danny this up. Vera Retra, I want to say, says, yes, it's Mustafi's fault. It is fair. Some guy, I'm not too sure
Never heard of him.
Hell has never heard of him? I'm just going to say, whoever it is, fuck him, to be honest. I think his name is Ellis. He says, it's okay to blame Mustafi as he was at fault for one of their goals. That doesn't absolve the other players of poor performances. Again, fuck him. Jenny says, it's completely fair to criticize him. If it was a rare occasion, then perhaps not. But it's hardly the first time he's cost us points. Added to the lack of accountability for him of his actions. One armed bastard says, nah, Mavropanos, Jenkinson, and Elneny had much worse games than Mustafi, who had a net positive. Gooners don't seem to understand how the defensive line and Leno are culpable as Mustafi for that goal. Unjust confirmation bias for Mustafi paired with tactically uneducated fan base.
I love it. Wow. I love one-armed bastards. Where have you been for the last 7 years? That's my kind of answer.
And Mike, the last one, says the timing of the second goal really turned the tide against Arsenal, and that's why his mistake can't be overlooked. Think the midfield took a lot. All right, Danny, do you think Mustafi is to blame for that goal?
Yes, yeah, it was his fault. It was his errors. It's his brain fart. Sums it up. Jonas in Belgium. You put it perfectly, Jonas. Brain fart.
Femi, do you think Mustafi is to blame for that goal?
Yeah, sorry, I can't see how Leno or the defensive line can be blamed for that goal. And I think the reason why Mustafi is getting a lot of blame is because he's a serial offender now, isn't he? It's not a one-off.
So just to put into perspective, do you think that the strikers not scoring more goals, do you think it absolves Mustafi's mistake?
No, because I think we have the third best attacking record in the league, and we just cannot defend. And Mustafi's a big part of that, to be fair.
So
agree. Perfectly fair.
So the issue is, what is the solution? So let's say next season,
defend more.
Should we defend more, Danny? Okay, so next season, would you take 7 million for Mustafi?
As I don't care about money anymore, I'd let him go on a free. This is Stan Kroenke's money. Fuck him and his money. But you've got to balance the books, haven't you? I mean, you can probably look that it was a £20 million player that we paid 35 for. As soon as we were interested, his value went on up. And I was talking, Tom did a podcast on Tom's podcast. I asked a question on there. I said, Tom, did you rate him when he was playing for Valencia? And he said, yes, I thought he was brilliant. And he's been so bad for us that Tom said he has to reevaluate the way that he looks at players than defending now. That's how shocking it's been. But yeah, I think if we get 10 million, we'd be lucky.
So Femi, what do you think has gone wrong for Mustafi, like in terms of if he was very good at Valencia and he manages to be the player that he is now for Arsenal, like what possibly do you think has gone wrong? Is it coaching? Is it the years under Wenger and his apparently non-defending training? Do you think like someone like Carlos, what's his name, Caicedo? I want to say
Caicedo, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that he should improve Mustafi? Like, what has caused the decline in him?
Okay, now this is where the problem gets, isn't it? I remember when Mustafi first came, that silly stat of like we didn't lose for like 20-something games when he first came into the team. Now, what I would say is I heard something on the Askcast, a question, which was if you've had two different coaching teams coaching a player and he's still making the same mistakes, then there's something fundamental. Either he doesn't want to listen to anyone, which is very worrying, or he just cannot change the way he plays. So I would say it's the way he plays. He can't change, and it's fine. Just go and do it somewhere else. To be honest, that's all it is. It's not a hating him, or you can't keep making the same mistakes over and over. Like you said, similar mistake to this he made in the Man City game. The sliding in, he's been doing it. So it's just a trademark. As soon as you just know he's going to slide in at some point or end up on his arse. We played like some sort of friendly game in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and he slid in and ended up on his arse, didn't he? And the guy pinged in the ball from the edge of the box. So I wouldn't say it's a coaching thing anymore. if you've had two different coaching staff working and you're still making it. I wonder what Steve Bold has to say to Mustafi.
Very little.
Oh, when he's putting out the cones, basically. I mean, players are allowed to decline, and you can say, oh, he's too old. Sorry, he's too young to decline. Because how old is Mustafi? 25?
26, I think, yeah.
Something along them lines. But players are allowed to not be as good as they once were. And it's just like Femi said. And I think Danny, I remember when I was going to bring back to Wenger, but Danny always used to say when Arsene Wenger was in charge, if you change all the coaching staff, if you change all the tactics about the one ever present as Arsene Wenger, and we're still playing as badly as we were, then the problem has to be him. Now, like you said, Femi, we've changed the coaching staff. Emery has brought in his whole new regime, his whole new way of working, his different tactics, his different way of training, and the player is still not improving. I'm not going to call him bad, but he's not improving. Then the problem has to be the player. And like you said, we don't know what is going on behind closed doors. Is he just not listening? Does he get on the football pitch and just have a brain fart? No one knows. But I don't personally. I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think we was on the teetering of whether he's good enough to play for Arsenal. I think that on Sunday was just the one that was like, you know what, we've had enough. We genuinely was. And I remember me and Jason sort of talking about whether our players are good enough. And Jason has his opinion and I have mine. And some of our defenders are not good enough. And it just goes to show that some of our players should not be playing for Arsenal. And I can sit here as, a supporter and say, this player's not good enough or that player's not good enough. But it's just my opinion. Like, I think when Socrates first came, I think Jason was saying, oh, he's got the turning circle of a flipping double-decker bus. But it turned out to be one of our best defenders this season. Mustafi, for me, has literally declined. And for me, I don't think that he should be at the club next season. I would like to see us get a minimum of about 10 to 12 million for him. Whether we will or not, I don't know. But I just think there are other players that we can get that we could pay with his wages.
Well said. I agree with all of that. Right, I think we should move on to the gentleman's nods. So while you two are thinking of yours, I've got a whole list of people to read out that have donated during the live shows. So going from the most recent all the way back to covering the last two shows, Dav Dev, Chris Reevy, Blair Slater, who actually his message was Blair out, and then Jim Howson, Yvonne Akofo, Unique 79, J Rob, Gary Donahue, Michael Hernandez and his daughter Aliyah Milan, Jonas Sektnanberg, Michael Hernandez again, Jim Howson again, Unique 79 as always, Jonas Herstrom, Yvonne Akofo, J Rob, and finally Michael Harneyman, not Hanneman. So thank you very much to all of you lot. I'm about to spend £1,200 on a new PC and new monitor with all the wonderful money that you've given as well. I'm buying it on a credit card, so hopefully you'll keep chucking this money. Otherwise, I'm going to end up going bankrupt. So I got a credit card. It's 0% APR because the company that's selling it wanted about 130 quid to get it on, pay it over a year. So I'm going to get that ordered any day now.
So if you're homeless, I'm sure Chris will take you in.
Yeah, so hopefully going to get that'd be a decent PC, unlike this Windows 7 turd that I'm using now. That I 18 times today I had to turn it on and turn it off and turn it on until I heard the beep, which means the signal's going to the PC. And then my cat's having a turn. Yeah, and I'm going to get some video editing software and then try and do something with video stuff. And John's been having a dabble with that as well. So yeah, thank you very much, you wonderful people. Femi, have you got one? And then Karl, you do your one and you shut the show down.
Yeah, so I've got one. Someone had a conversation, a nice, healthy debate with on Twitter.
I'll behave yourself. It's impossible.
His name is @Gaz_Arsenal. We had a nice discussion about if Arsenal can only wish for 5 points out of the next 4 games, then should we even be thinking about Champions League? And we had a nice, healthy debate. So @Gaz_Arsenal.
You got one, Karl? Then you shut the show down and I'll press stop when you say.
I did it to the last person that followed me, and I'm running through my phone right now. I've got 70 interactions because I'm so popular. It's unreal.
That's just you and Ellis selling you dick pics.
Shh, Danny, what's wrong with you? I tell everyone. Shafiq is official. That's the last person that followed me. So Shafiq_UG. Yes. So thank you, listeners, for watching and or listening. It's been a very good show today. The results weren't as good as we want them to be against Crystal Palace, but let's keep the faith. We will qualify for the top four. We will get into the final of the Europa, and we will beat Chelsea in the final. So, there are some negatives, but positives are we are still in the race for the top four, and we will get to the final. Let's keep the faith, and as Jason says, keep it Arsenal. Danny, press the button. Oh, and fuck Ellis, by the way.
And cheers for joining us, you two. You two have been magnificent. Bye-bye.